Hello, welcome to the Crossroads Career Network webinar. We'll wait here for a moment or two for some people to start rolling in. Somebody, hello, welcome. And others, as they come in, we'll just wait a couple minutes and get started here shortly. Hope you're ready with a cup of coffee this morning and settling in for a terrific amount of content this morning. Welcome, glad people are rolling in, and we'll just wait a little bit. I am looking forward to what we have for you this morning. We have, you came to hear Nina talk about how to network more effectively, and her topic's titled a little different than that, but you're going to find it's going to be incredibly useful for you. Hello, welcome. You know, one thing I've noticed with these webinars is that people, I think, have gotten used to when I'm talking at the beginning and skip my part and start really joining us when our main speaker comes on. Get the timing down a little bit. So I'm looking forward to that. Well, here, as people are rolling in, we'll get started, and more will be joining us as we go. Thanks for joining us this morning. My name is 𝙎𝙩𝙖𝙧𝙩. I lead Minnesota Crossroads Career Network here in the Minneapolis area. I know one of the advantages of doing webinars is we get people from around the country that join us. And in this case, we also have a speaker from across the country, and I'll talk more about that later. But I'm just glad that we are able to reach a broader audience and help more people. And I hope it's worthwhile and helpful for you. I'm glad you're all here. And I want to, we have I'll just do a little intro here, and then we have a video, and then we have Nina Obier, our main speaker this morning. You know, our hope with Crossroads, though, also is that along with helping people succeed in their job search, we also talk about bigger issues and point people to the hope and encouragement of Jesus Christ. There's a perspective in the Bible that I think is important to rely on when we're going through tough times like a job search. You know, if we trust him, God promises that he'll never leave us and never forsake us. Sometimes people falsely claim that we'll never have problems, or that if we just sit and wait, God will work everything out for us. His promise is that he'll walk alongside us and give us the strength to make it through the challenges in life. Not that we won't have challenges. And he'll give us the wisdom and guidance. However, it's impossible to steer a parked car. We still have to be moving. We still have to be doing the work. You know, one example in scripture is when God had freed Israel from slavery in Egypt, he directed them to the promised land. They wandered around in the desert for 40 years first. They had things they needed to learn, but then it was time for them to go and take the land. In the book of Joshua, God tells them, "Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be frightened and do not be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go." They still had to fight the battles and claim the land, but as they did the hard work, God protected them and guided them. As we face challenges in life, if we lean into him and trust him, see what he wants us to learn, we need to do the work, but he will be with us wherever we go. And when God is with you, how can you be discouraged? I know that as you work through your challenges, or I hope that as you work through your challenges, you look to God through his word, the Bible, for wisdom, for inspiration, and his power in your life. Let me open us in a word of prayer, and then we'll move on with the content this morning. Lord, I'm grateful for our chance to come together, even if it's just virtually. We pray that you use this time for your purposes, that the things that people hear today resonate with them, that help them, that give them hope and encouragement and things to do that improve their situation in their job search. Father, we pray that this time honors you, and we pray all this in Jesus' name. Amen. Well, with that, let me share a screen here. I have a short video by 𝙎𝙩𝙖𝙧𝙩 Atkinson. If you don't know who she is an Olympic gold medalist who went through real challenges in her own path along the way. And I hope it's inspiring and helpful for you.
They'd be like, she's really fast, or she runs track. That was always the adjective or the description that came after the introduction of me. I liked being that person. And then all of a sudden it was completely stripped away from me, and I didn't know who I was anymore. I didn't know, who am I? Every training cycle is about figuring out, how can I break my body? Texas sun, 100 degrees. If you put your hands or knees on the track, you'll probably get burned. You're crossing the finish line and your teammates are pulling you off the ground, and then the next rep, you're pulling them off the ground. And then we strength train. A whole bunch of Olympic lifts, power cleans, box jumps, front squats, back squats, sled pulls. We push ourselves to the limit, breaking your body apart and coming back the next day and doing it over and over again. In 2016, when we were at the Olympic Games and we were running the prelim of the women's 4x100 relay, our second to third leg dropped the baton. I was standing there at the anchor leg waiting to receive a baton that was not coming to me. And in that moment, I had that thought of like, wow, I've trained what feels like your whole life for a moment that now seemed to be gone and stripped from me within the blink of an eye. So it takes you to a place of realizing that you have to make what you do worth it. As the story goes, we got to rerun and run by ourselves, and we made the final, and we came away with a gold medal in the 4x100 relay. I was ecstatic. I was on top of the world. But I was coming back to Austin, Texas, knowing that I wanted my life to look different. I didn't want to be the same college girl. I didn't want to keep being around those same group of people. I didn't want to keep partying. I didn't want to continue being that person. But I was also scared. I was scared of feeling alone and lonely and not having anyone and not knowing what I was going to do next. I got invited by my friend, Emmanuel Acho. He'd actually be mad at me for saying friend, by my best friend, Emmanuel Acho, to come to a game night. And I was hesitant at first, and I was like, okay, I'll come to this game night. And I walked into a room full of people who were complete strangers to me, but that was going to become my new spiritual community, a community of people who have very little in common besides our love for game nights and our love for Jesus, who were going to become exactly what I needed. On January 27th, 2018, at the end of a race, I ran into a wall, stopping, and completely ruptured my Achilles tendon. The Achilles is the strongest tendon in the human body, and you need it to do literally everything. Walk, jump, crawl, climb stairs, stand up, sit down. I had it surgically repaired, but I was being told, hey, you might never be the same runner that you were ever again. This may be a career-ending injury for you. I was angry at God, at the sense of, I thought this is what I was supposed to be doing, and if this is what I'm supposed to be doing, then why did you take it away from me? My identity was built in track and field. All of a sudden it was completely stripped away from me, and I didn't know, who am I? I'm so independent and used to doing everything completely on my own, and I was at a point where I had to learn to ask for help. And it was tough, but I was right where I needed to be. For the first time, I realized that I was surrounded by people who believed in me. And not only did they believe in me, they believed that God had a plan for my life and that he was still going to be faithful through it all. I'd never been in a place where every single one of my people that I hung out with and talked to were someone that I could also be like, hey, I need you to pray for this, and they actually would, not just say that they would. And it also made me realize that this is why we're supposed to live our lives together like this, so that when one person in your community is hurting or is fallen or can't fight their battle on their own, that you have 10 or 15 or 5 or 3 or 25 people there who will step up and fight the battle for them that they can't fight for themselves. And that was the beginning of me really picking myself up and putting myself back together. Just because something happened that steered me away from what I thought was the path of least resistance doesn't mean that God changed, doesn't mean His plan for my life had changed. It just means that I had to go through a little bit of something first. I've realized that I've been in a tough situation that I didn't think that I could make it out of, or I was so unsure of how I was going to make it out of, and I look back at it and I was like, wow, that was really easy, and it was God's hand in all of it. Prior to my injury, I was always focused on breaking my body down, and now I had to focus on putting my body back together. When I get on the track, it's like, you did not wake up today to be mediocre. That's the talk that I'm giving to myself. You can do this. You only have one more rep. Take it every 50 meters. I wore my I am second bracelet. It would always just be there as like a, you're not doing this for you. This is not your thing that you're doing, and like you have to keep going. I think the sweetest part of community is the ability to be vulnerable with people and let them see your true self and who you really are. And without Jesus Christ, I would not be who I am, I would not be where I am, and I would not be doing what I'm doing. Everything in my life has become solely because of who Jesus is and who He continues to be. My name is 𝙎𝙩𝙤𝙧𝙩, and I am second.
Get my video and mic back on there. There is so much I appreciate about that video, but you know, for so many of us, we get our identity from our careers, that we see ourselves as an accountant or as a software developer or whatever it is that we do, as opposed to a child of God, as opposed to a father, a mother, a husband, a wife, whatever other roles you have in life, is that we overly identify ourselves with what we do for a living. And when we're unemployed, that becomes tough, because then what are we? And so she experienced that same kind of thing. And I hope it was helpful for you to get some perspective out of that. Next, I am just really glad to be able to introduce Nina Obier. She, you know, as I mentioned earlier, is one advantage of doing webinars like this, is that we don't have to just deal with people locally. We are able to reach a broader audience and have speakers from around the country. And Nina is in South Carolina, and I'm so glad that she's able to join us this morning. Nina's the founder of Upcountry Solutions, consulting and training firm that is involved in leadership development, effective communication, decision making, and I think very applicable for everybody in job transition, is she helps train people how to step out of their comfort zones. And that is what we have to do when we are in job transition. Nobody likes to think of themselves as becoming a professional job seeker, right? You just want to get through the process as quickly as possible, and that involves a lot of things that we're not necessarily comfortable with. And she's going to speak today about how to get comfortable with others and build relationships, and instead of just making networking a one-hit wonder, that you actually are building meaningful relationships. And so, Nina, I'll turn it over to you. I'm so glad you're here, and thanks for sharing with our group today.
To be heard, you must first listen. Thank you, Harry, for this incredible opportunity to be with you and the wonderful community that you have cultivated for today's topic. And so I love how you said, let's get uncomfortable. And that video couldn't have been more appropriate. Of course, I had no idea what video you would put on, but I have a daughter who was in Division I sports. And so it was just apropos that that would be what you would put on, and that uncomfortableness, right? So today may be a little different. Yes, we are in webinar mode. However, we're also in a conversation together. So I want to know that you are there, and I am going to ask you to use the chat. Yes, I'm going to ask you to use the chat, and I'll wait to see that you're there and that you will say hello and that you will connect with each other through the chat. So this is going to be very important because I cannot do this topic alone. So I'll give you a moment to kind of settle in and get comfortable. Thank you, Bria. Good morning to you. Please do say good morning. Maybe if you want to say where you're tuning in from, that would be really cool. And we're going to jump right into it. Yay, I see some of you tuning in. So let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And we are going to get this party started. So one thing you will learn about me is that I absolutely love to have fun. So hopefully this will be a morning that is well spent for each and every one of you. And the topic that we are talking about is about connecting. And I know Harry really wanted us to kind of focus in on those times where you're out there doing your job search networking. And so really what we're going to hone in on is how to listen better and how that will improve your relationships. All right. Now, if you see in the chat, let's go ahead and I'm going to give you a little heads up. Have you ever had a piece of paper or a pen and you didn't know what to do with it? I jokingly say that because, of course, we are on technology and a lot of people lean on technology. But you know what? I'm going to give you my pro tip in a few minutes. So if you have to kind of scramble around and get a piece of paper and a pen or a pencil, go ahead and do that now. If one gives an answer before he hears, it is his folly and shame. Proverbs 18:13. Now in the book, Reclaiming Conversation by 𝙎𝙩𝙖𝙧𝙩 𝘚, the world is more talkative now than ever. The problem, we are talking at each other rather than with each other. So I would love to know if you feel that way, if you feel like there is just, when you're in conversations, that people are just talking at you instead of with you. Just kind of hold that thought in your mind. All right, so who am I and why even listen? I am Nina Aubert, and my background is in leadership. And yes, I have 40 years in leadership. And I imagine you're looking at me and going, well, how can that be? Well, my leadership journey started when I was in high school. And prior to this golden opportunity that God gave me to straighten out my life, I would have never, started off in leadership so young. But I was the captain of the dance drill team. And then in college, I was the president of the judicial board. And then I made my way into the hotel restaurant industry. And I was elevated to an executive leadership role there. After having my second child, I went into training and development, and I was the senior training and development specialist at the Federal Reserve Bank. And then I was given a golden opportunity to stay home with my daughters and to actually help raise them alongside having a incredible career with a home-based business for 13 years. And after that home-based business and reaching the top 2% of the company, I decided to go out on my own. But many years ago, when I was at the Federal Reserve Bank as the Senior Training and Development Specialist, I was given the opportunity to be a facilitator with the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And that really is where my love of the habit, seek first to understand, then to be understood, was ingrained in my heart. But here's what I know to be true. I am going to ask you, because, you know, the things that I'm going to share with you, you're going to find out they're simple, yet not always easy. And so if I could ask you to leave the "I already know that" at the door. So go ahead and let me know that you're going to leave the "I already know that" at the door, right? Because if we're not open to maybe hear it a different way, or maybe to experience it in a different way, then why are you even here on this webinar? So again, go ahead, let me know that you're going to leave the "I already know that" at the door. Love it. Thank you. I hear you, Beth. All right. So I alluded to the fact that, oh, I love it. Donald wrote it down. I love it. So first, before we get started, I'm going to share with you a superpower. And that superpower is putting pen to paper. And I believe it's a lost art. But there is actually scientific proof that if you allow yourself to just put all your thoughts down on paper and you clear your mind and you give a parking space for your thoughts, that you can be more present. And again, it's going to be so important that you are present in this conversation, in this time of connection. So I'm going to let you experience a brain dump. Now, this can be as short as a few seconds and as long as it takes. Now, there really are no rules. It's just that allowing yourself, because do you know how many thoughts you have a day? Some statistics say 60 to 90,000 thoughts a day. So wouldn't it be nice to at least try to empty your thoughts on paper so that you can be fully present today? So we're going to get uncomfortable, because I am going to set my alarm for 1 minute. And you are going to do yourself a favor. This is not for me. This is for you. And you are going to just let it all out. All right? Begin. All right. The minute is up. How do you feel? Do you feel different? Anyone like to share? Are you still there? Are you still writing? Because you realize you have so many thoughts that you wanted to just get down on paper. Oh, Donald, interesting. Raised your anxiety. Maybe that was because it was 1 minute. So I offer you the opportunity to continue to use this practice where it fits in. Yet typically when I run webinars or workshops, we allow ourselves more time. I agree, Kristen. Please forgive me. It does help. Yes, Beth, it does help. So again, this was just to kind of give you a snapshot of what it could do. And I love your responses because I agree, a minute is definitely way too short, but you're worth however long it can take. And truth be told, before I got on this webinar, I for sure did a brain dump so that I could be fully present with each and every one of you. So again, this is the very first tip that I would love to impart on you. Before you go out to network, before you get on a phone call, before you get on a Zoom, allow yourself the opportunity to let those thoughts out. I imagine if you practice it, that it will become something that you will relish throughout the day. So again, this is truly where I see my superpower is so that I can be fully present when I am in conversation. Oh, I love that. Morning pages is so powerful. All right, so let's give you some of the stats. We actually hear 20 to 30,000 words in a 24-hour period. We are spending up to 80% of our day engaged in some form of communication. And 55% of that time is listening. We can speak approximately 125 to 175 words per minute. But we can hear 450 words per minute. Isn't that interesting? Right? We can only speak so fast and we can actually hear more. So imagine what that's doing to, your surroundings, right? Now, we also need to remember that we're only retaining about 17 to 25% of those things you listen to. So really, seems like the stats are stacked against us. And that's why we're here this morning, is to possibly give you some tips, some ways to stop talking, but to really connect and to listen better. And again, with the goal that your relationships will improve. And I'm going to need you to help out. Again, I am going against the grain. I recognize that we are not unmiking anybody, but we've got the chat. And I really want you to participate to help this conversation continue. This is how we are going to connect. So we communicate verbally, right? That's what we say. We communicate paraverbally, which is how we say it. And we communicate with our nonverbal body language, and we communicate by writing. Now, today we are not going to focus so much on the written part of communication, even though I think you already know how much I love to write. If I haven't, said that, we're really not going to focus on that today. So I will get to Donald. Thank you. Remind me of that question. We're going to talk about that as we go further. Donald's question is how to deal with listening, but forget what you want. Interject when you can speak. So that is a great question. And I imagine we are going to speak about that in a few minutes. So now let's go ahead. This is interactive. And remember, you left your I already know that at the door, but you may know the answer to this. And so that's great. So what's the percentage? So the percentage of words we use. So if you take 100%, what is the percentage of the words we use? Then what is the percentage of our voice, tone, and speed? So that's your paraverbal. And then what's the percentage of your body language? So you could write W equals V equals B equals. So again, what's the percentage of the words we use in communication? What's the percentage of, again, how we communicate in our voice, our tone, our speed? And then how much is the percentage of our body language? So this is how we communicate. Anyone want to jump in on that? Now we do have a lag with the chat and it's all good. This is a live experience. Yes, Amy says she thinks voice tone is the highest. I love that. Thank you for saying that. Anyone else have an opinion on that? Maybe not the exact percentage, but what you think might be the answer. All three. All right, Bria. Yep. We do use all three. I think body language is higher, says Valerie. Excellent. Then we realize it's higher than we realize, right? Oh, good. Okay, Jay, thank you. 20% words, 30% the voice, 50% body language. Kristen, 5% words, 10% our voice, 85% body language. I love these answers. Thank you guys for participating. Isn't this fascinating? Oh, you are just making my heart sing. We've got words from Donald, 85%. The voice, 5%. The body language, 10%. We've got Vic saying body language is 85%. We've got Beth, 20% words, 40% voice, 40% body language. Oh my gosh. All right. Are you ready for it? Here we go. 7% is the words that we use. 38% is the voice, tone, and speed. And 55% is the body language. Are we shocked by this? So why even share this information with you? 93% is your voice, your tone, your speed, and your body language. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. So obviously this changes if you're just on the phone, someone's not going to be able to see you, right? But if you are in person, then again, this body language will be 55% of it. So with that said, let's continue on our journey. And know this, my beloved brothers, let every person be quick to hear, slow to speak, and slow to anger. James 1:19. So I'm going to ask you, and again, just as you did a few slides ago, what do you think are the most common barriers to effective listening? Love it. Distractions. Thank you, Jay. What are some other common barriers to effective listening? What we want to say, says Beth. Preoccupations, says Jay. Put yourself in a conversation that you've been in recently. And what do you think are some of the common barriers? The phone. Love it, Amy. Thank you. Yeah, I'm already thinking of my answer. What was your question? Said Donald. What do you think are the most common barriers? I love it. Preconceptions, says Jay, right? So what do you think are the most common barriers to effective listening? Not truly listening, thinking of what I'm going to say instead. Distraction, says Donald. Thank you, Vic. Oh, these are so good. All right. So here is an overwhelming list of common barriers to effective listening. Distractions, preoccupation, a lack of interest, assumptions, bias and stereotypes, rapid thought processing, emotional state, selective listening, language or accent barriers, over-reliance on memory, external pressure, physical discomfort, cultural differences, interrupting, filtering, egocentrism, information overload, lack of practice, external time constraints. Anyone else overwhelmed with the common barriers to effective listening? And you all were onto it. So I think that's always good to kind of get yourself grounded in terms of, okay, what's going to happen here? Like, what, these are real. If you go back to the statistics, how many words we listen to in a day, how many we can speak, but we can hear more than we're speaking. So that's that rapid thought processing, because they're speaking with you, but your brain is also speaking to you. And that's that 450 words that you could hear in a minute. Whew. We don't want to get you anxious. We want to help you out. So we are going to now talk about how you can be a leader in listening. All right. How you can be a leader in listening. And for the record, I love alliteration. I also love acronyms. I believe that when we use acronyms to remember something, it's just another trick to kind of keep it simple. Remember, I am all about simple. It's just not always easy. So we're going to use the acronym LEADER, and it doesn't necessarily mean that L is step 1, E is step 2, A is step 3. This is not a step-by-step. These are overall general like tips that you could use in order for you to connect more and to listen better. Philippians 2:3-4 says, "Do nothing from selfish ambition or conceit, but in humility count others more significant than yourselves. Let each of you look not only to his own interests, but also to the interests of others." If you recall, my first pro tip was to get everything out of your head and just take a piece of paper and write it all out. It's one way to get your thoughts parked down on paper so that you can be fully present. And I guess my next big pro tip is to be humble. Now, we are going to go ahead and go through the LEADER acronym. And guess what? There is more than one way to cook an egg. So this is not going to be, here is L, and this is what it means. No, continue to be interactive. And I cannot thank you enough for being fully present and playing full on, leaving your I already know that at the door, and offering your interaction, what you've experienced in the past. So we understand what could be a barrier. And now we want to talk about, all right, but how do we overcome that barrier? What is one way that we could be a leader in listening? And so we'll take the letter L. What do you think is a pro tip that would start with the letter L and could help you listen better? Yes, Listen. I love it. Lean in. Excellent. Amy said, focus on the other person. So we'll have to think of an L word, right? Remember, we're using the L to kind of jog our memory. So when we say, I want to be a leader in listening. Oh, what was the first thing? Oh, let's lean in. Let's listen. What are some other things that you feel? So focus on the other person. Actually, I'll come back to you, Amy. I think you nailed it. Learn. Kai says, learn. Any other L words that you feel passionate about that could help you be a leader in listening? Leave the ego at the door. I love that one. Let the other person feel heard. Excellent. All right. And again, there's no right or wrong answer. All of these are incredible. Like when you say listen, yes, listen, don't talk. It's actually said that you should be talking 10% of the time and listening 90% of the time. Did you know the word listen contains the same letters as the word silent? For now, I am highlighting limit distraction. So this is just one way, right? All of those answers can work, but limit distractions. And so how can you do that, right? It takes effort. It takes being on purpose, right? It takes a choice. It takes a choice. So again, distractions to me are the thoughts in our heads. So before you go on a networking event, write them all out. When you're at the networking event, where is your phone? Put it away. I know when I go to networking, I'm looking for quality, not quantity. And so when I connect with someone, if there's a place that we could like walk away, step away a little bit, that would be amazing. Sometimes I'm on Zoom networking events, and with those, I just make sure right now, my desk is completely clear, right? Completely clear, except for my notes and my computer, right? So there are ways to limit distractions. It's a choice. We don't necessarily get what we desire. We get what we've chosen. So the L could mean limit distractions. All right. How do we feel about the E? Again, we are talking about being a leader in listening. And so what could the E stand for? Engage with the other person. Empathy. I love it. All right. Keep going. Energy. Level up. I love it. Energy. Oh, that's such a good one. Eye contact. Absolutely. Yes. Remember that 55% is body language. Thank you, Donald. Put your ego aside. An effective communication style, says Valerie. These are good. Hope you're writing them down. Enthusiasm. Love it. Love it. Thank you, Kai. Enthusiasm, love, ego, effective communication style, energy. Oh, love it. Love it, love it, love it. Now, remember, we have 2 E's, so you might want to hold some back for the next one. So here I'm going to highlight engage actively. And I know one of you gave that response. So again, especially when you are face-to-face, whether it's through a video conferencing or it's right with someone. And, pro tip here, we're not just talking about this job search. You can be practicing this with your family and your friends and strangers, right? So engage actively is about eye contact. It's about nodding. It's about using encouraging verbal cues, that Oh, isn't that interesting? Tell me more about that. Oh, I see, right? Active engagement signals your interest and it encourages. So this E could mean encouraging. What I like to say usually during this is, are you being interested or interesting? Right? So it's being more interested in the connection than trying to be interesting. Reminding you that I'm highlighting the fact that 93% of your communication comes from how you use your voice and whether you lean in or use eye contact or use your hands, on purpose to highlight a point. So let's continue. Are you having fun yet? Come on. I love how you guys are interacting. So thank you, because remember, we're not talking, we're connecting, and we're really focusing on how we can listen better. Listening is a skill that can be learned. And if you desire it, you've got to make choices to improve it. So active listening, attentive. Oh, I didn't even have to ask. Come on, let's bring some more A's. What other things can help you listen better using the letter A? Attitude, awareness. I love it. I wonder how many people are going ahead and already thinking of D. So stay with us, alert and aware. Acknowledge. Oh, I'm excited to share the one that I have. Anyone else? Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Valerie. Thank you, everyone, for participating. All right. Ask clarifying questions. And again, leave your I already know that at the door. But we're focusing on open-ended questions, clarifying questions, right? Keep the conversation going. You're interested, not just interesting. So it's like, what? What are your thoughts about this? Can you tell me more? How have you been feeling lately? What has been your experience? Remember, the thing to remember is when you ask questions, we're trying to get more of a response, not a yes or a no, but more of a response. So I have added a slide in just a minute as you're thinking about clarifying questions that could be specific to this job search networking while you're out networking. And in true transparency, we use the good old ChatGPT, which I know there is a teaching on in the YouTube channel with this organization. So here are some examples of clarifying questions. And again, go to the good old ChatGPT and they will give you a list of questions. But what advice would you give to someone who is looking to enter this role or this industry? Are there any skills or experiences you believe are particularly important to success in this industry? What resources? What do you enjoy most about? How has it contributed to your journey? So again, clarifying questions, open-ended questions when you're at a networking event. Truly, honestly, when I switched to really connecting with people, and so at these events, where there's, 30, 50, 75, 100 people, if I left there with 1 to 3 deep connections, it always, I promise you, was more fruitful than the thought that I had to say hello to everybody in the room. All right, we're at the D. And again, how to be a leader in listening. What are some ideas that you think the D could represent? Delve deeper into the topic. Direct. Thank you, Donald. Thank you, Amy. This is a good one. I guess D could be distractions, right? You could filter it in there. Because I think we know that one is huge. Demonstrate humility. Love that one, Beth. Thank you. Any other D? Don't overpower or overshadow. Bria, I like that one. Excellent. Any others with the D? Discern is the one that I have chosen to highlight. So what do we know about discernment? I think to cut to the chase with discern, you too, as you are using your 93% of your communication, the verbal, the tone, the speed, as you're using your body language, you too can be on the other side, discerning the person in front of you, right? It's a learned skill. You are so interested in that person in front of you. So discernment is paying attention to the nonverbal cues. It's reflecting on what you're hearing, right? You can reflect on what you're hearing. You can avoid assumptions, right? Also, it is to stay open-minded. It's to seek learning. Discernment is to practice patience. We talked about one of the barriers to communication, and that is that you may have preconceived biases, right? So really, when I say discern, I kind of can fit this into that seeking first to understand, then to be understood. And, Kristen has said that it's hard to do with lots going on around you and extra layers. And I fully acknowledge that. And I offer you the opportunity that little by little, as you embrace maybe some of these tips and just notice, right? Just notice. It will grow. This isn't an overnight fix. I'm going to be completely honest, but maybe one of these layers of being a leader and listening, you can kind of hold the mirror up to yourself and say, where is it? Where is this one thing where I know that I know I could improve upon that? Because really the only person we have control over, is ourselves, control over our thoughts and things like that. So it is a learned practice. I think a lot of it has to do with allowing yourself and trusting that God has the right person in front of you. I think that's part of the problem. We're in front of someone, and maybe, again, since they're only speaking 125 to 170 words a minute, and we're thinking at 450 words a minute, we're already ahead and going, wait, I want to see that person over there. But kind of trusting that God has the right person in front of you. So discernment is definitely one of the learned perspectives. Yeah, Donald, it's interesting. On my paper, I actually have discern perspective. So it's like we're sinking into each other. So thank you. All right, let's keep going. Make sure we stay on time here. We got another E. Which one do you want to talk about? Which one do you want to talk about? Any new E's come to mind? I know we talked about energy, embrace differences and values. Thank you, Amy. I love that one. Are there any other E's that we want to talk about? Engage. Yes, absolutely. I just thought, ooh, I'm going to be a leader in listening. I'm going to think about an egg because there's more than one way to cook an egg. Encouraged, evolving, enlightened, encourage different voices. So Donald said encouraged, evolving, enlightened. Amy said encourage different voices. I love that. Love, love, love that, which I really feel like where we're going with this is one of the things that really anchors, right? Really anchors. So I'll repeat, because by repetition is how we actually learn. You know, putting pen to paper and getting your thoughts out, and all these thoughts, 60 to 90,000 thoughts a day. That's what's happening right now. You know, park them down so you can be fully present. You know, humble yourself, be more interested than interesting, and learn to be empathetic, right? And to empathize with the person. So Proverbs 15:1 says, a soft answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. So empathetic listening is, again, being fully present. It's allowing yourself to suspend judgment. It's listening without interrupting. It's a way that you can use your nonverbal cues, right? Those nonverbal, like really look somebody in the eye, lean in when it's important. It's also important to go back so that that person can lean in to you. You know, this again, tell me more about that. It sounds like, right? These empathetic statements. And really ask yourself before you go into any conversation, are you really here for the right reasons, right? What's your energy behind that? Maybe we need to pull back the curtain on that as well. And when you really get clear on what your energy behind it is, and is it, you know, solely ego driven, you get to choose to leave that at the door and see maybe something even better come up. That's one of my favorite hashtags. Hashtag, what if it's better? So last but certainly not least, we're at the R. Is there anyone who wants to share a word for the R? Respectful. Love it. Thank you, Amy, for continuing to participate. Ready to listen. That's an excellent one. Rapport, reiterate, restate, retell. Yes, Donald, all of those. These are great R words. My goodness, I'm going to have to go back and listen to this and get all of your incredible responses to add to this teaching. Are there any other R's? And remember, I placed my hand on my heart and just kind of allowed the spirit to put down the R that I wanted to highlight. Reflect and summarize. Reflect and summarize. So this is another, I guess this would be my next pro tip if I was, you know, just gonna like really go. One of the things that, again, was a muscle that I had to build was to react less and respond more. The power in the pause. And who knows? Maybe this webinar was too uncomfortable for people, and maybe the silences or the interaction or their being fully engaged was uncomfortable for people. And that's okay. That's okay. Because eventually you'll learn this power, right? So if you're truly interested and you're seeking to understand, then to be understood, then the idea is that you will actually be listening because you know you want to kind of grasp what the person is saying so that you can reflect it back to them. And then in that reflection, they are able to say, that's not what I meant. And then you're able to say, well, tell me more, right? So again, the only way that you will be able to connect is to then say to yourself, well, have I been talking at people instead of with people, which was what we opened up this entire conversation about. Now, in some scenarios, you can just ask, can I take notes? I really, really want to make sure I'm understanding you. So it depends on the situation. But again, I'm sure you're not surprised. I am a total note taker. So reflect and summarize. So let's go back to be a leader in listening and all of the suggestions that everyone made. And so with that said, I would love to know what you gleaned. Which letter really spoke to you? Which one was like, oh, that's where I might be missing the point? So just take a moment. Maybe you've spelt out leader for yourself and you have an answer for each one, or maybe there's one that really, was powerful for you. I would love for you to, again, continue to engage and interact in the chat and let us know. Oh, this is so good. All right, let's go back. Donald says, I can't pick one. All are important. Active listening without distractions. Ask questions, reflect, and summarize. Love that. All right. Amy said, for me, it is the pause to allow people to finish their thoughts before jumping in. I have to restrain myself at times. Thank you, Amy, for being open and vulnerable and real. Let's see what else we have here. I've got Beth. L, listen, and R, reflect. They remind me of the concept of servant leadership. Absolutely. I cannot thank each of you for leaning in. Kristen said, the examples of clarifying questions was helpful. I love that. So I offer you the opportunity to, use the chat GPT, use Google, use all of those things. There are incredible examples out there. And the more specific, right, your question to get those questions out. So definitely there is something about being prepared to go out on your job search networking. And for me, being prepared, I have reiterated this so many times, is to use ways of getting present. And of course, this is years and years of using it, and years of following the science behind it. So please, 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 if there's one thing that I'm going to encourage you, and in a moment, I'm going to share a free resource that I hope will encourage you to kind of embrace this, get these thoughts out of your head, because let's just ask. They're rattling around and they're rattling around. And then tomorrow, are you rattling around the same thoughts? Like, how's that working for you? So in order to move forward, we have to put them somewhere. So Kristen says, I know how to ask them in other situations, but networking is different. I totally agree with you, Kristen. Let's go back to what you said about, clarifying questions and really knowing that next one to say. And especially if you're in front of someone that may have a lead for you or may have a connection for you, definitely engaging them in the conversation, because all the answers really are within that other person. This is a lesson in leadership. We believe we have all the answers, but the moment that we humble ourselves and say, wait, tell me more, right? It's beautiful. I don't even know how else to say it. I think you can see that I'm a believer. All right. So as we are coming to a close, I certainly am here. If you have a question that you want to pop in the chat, a discussion that we want to talk about. In the meantime, I definitely wanted to offer you a free resource that we use here over at Upcountry Solutions, which is all focused on gratitude and ways to, kind of get clarity, because I think that's part of it. What I am truly passionate about is communication, clarity, and courage, right? And so I believe that approaching conversations this way definitely takes courage. And so if you know that what kind of barriers have been there in the past for you, whether it's in your job search or whether it's in a friendship or whether it's in a family connection, this is where you get to start. And my favorite proverb is, little by little, a little becomes a lot. So we certainly hope that we didn't overwhelm you with the information, but that you could get laser focused on maybe one of the ideas and say, okay, that's the one. I want to recognize, that I can listen and don't talk, and see how that changes things. Or I can recognize that I'm asking questions that are just yes and no, and that's not getting us any deeper on our connection. Or I can recognize that I don't make the time to reflect back so that I'm truly interested instead of interesting. So with that said, are there any other comments or questions or anything that I can answer around this topic? I will give it a minute, not a whole minute, because we know what that did to us, but I'll give it a moment to see. I love it. Thank you, Vic. Thank you, Nina. Having regular topics like this helps to cement new behavior and change, right? So that's why I ask, leave your I already know that at the door. I forgot to put one of my favorite slides where we're looking in the mirror, right? And say, where is it that I could shift? And I thank each of you for participating and playing full out and keeping me on top of my game. So Beth said, how do you draw out people who are really quiet and the usual questions don't seem to work? So it's funny you say that. I almost took this, I have cards in front of me, and one of this, and maybe it's, you don't use this part because maybe it's someone you just met, but maybe in your mind, you could just say, oh, I love this person. I believe God has a plan for their life. And you could just say, I'd really like to hear your story. Right? So something, and maybe they want to talk about a family member or a favorite hobby, or all of it is important in the conversation. So maybe just in the small little something about them, tell me more about that is a great opener. And then pause and let them think and use your compassion and your empathy and your body language to let them know that I really want to know more about your story.
Thanks, Nina. You know, that last point was so great because I think so many times people go into networking thinking that we talked a little bit about this before we got on to this morning, but so many people think about networking as their chance to tell somebody else all about themselves. But really what you're trying to do is create an advocate for you, and somebody that's an evangelizer for you somewhere else. And they're going to feel best about that when you make them feel important, and that you've listened to them and are interested in a relationship, and then they're willing to pass that on to others as well. And so the more you think about, I really want to get to know this person and ask them more questions than telling all about yourself, you're really going to have a much better shot at gaining an advocate and a friend and somebody that can help you.
Totally agree.
I love that.
Thank you again for the opportunity, Harry.
Nina, thanks so much. A couple other comments here. Somebody's husband, that he can get anyone to talk and he listens well. And that's really the thing, is people that are great communicators are generally great listeners. And that was the whole point of your topic here today. And I really appreciate that. Thanks so much, Nina. It was incredibly helpful. I think, and I had downloaded from your QR code there, your site, and you made the comment also earlier, but I love that proverb, the motto that says, little by little, a little becomes a lot. And that's something that I forget an awful lot of time. I want to do everything at once, and it gets overwhelming and you can't do it. And then you really start fumbling. But pick one or two things that you can change today and make a difference. And it's incremental improvement, continuous improvement, that really makes a difference over time. And I think you stated that so well. And I'm going to post that motto up for myself, because it's a great reminder I need to have for myself all the time.
Love it. Thank you, everyone. Have a blessed day.
Thanks so much. Well, I want to run through a few things that regarding Crossroads. I really want you to be able to take advantage of everything we offer, because first of all, it's free for you. Second of all, we want to really be able to serve you to help you be more effective in your job search. And the more content you get, as we just talked about, little by little, you can accomplish a lot. And so, if you get a few things from everything we offer and become more and more effective in your job search, you're going to land faster. And that's the goal, right? And so let me share some slides here, and I'll show you some other things that are available to you through Crossroads, and hope that you take advantage of all of them. So if this is your first time joining us on a webinar, and you haven't received one of these before, you'll be getting, when you registered for this webinar, you gave us your mailing address, and we'll be sending out this gift as a free gift from us. It's a devotional called How Long, O Lord, How Long? And it's a tremendous way to get encouragement and hope, and written by Dale Kreinkamp, who's spoken for our groups before. He will be, I think in a couple months, we've got him back again. But he wrote it out of his own job search. And in the back of the devotional, there's an index that gives you a bunch of different topics. Whatever you're facing in your job search today, you can look up and see what he's got to say about it and what scripture has to say about it. And it, I think, is a great resource of hope and encouragement. And I hope it's going to be a blessing to you. So that'll be on the way. You should be getting it in the mail within the next week or so. I think you had to go to our website to pre-register for this webinar, but I really encourage you to take advantage of everything that's there. We have a lot of information. Peruse the website. We have detailed information about the events coming up. We have a resources page with all kinds of resources for your job search. We have a job board. There's a number of companies locally that know what we do, know that great people attend our Crossroads events, and they want to find good people for their organizations. And so they post jobs. When you reply to one of those or apply online, be sure to mention that you found out about it through Crossroads, and hopefully that helps you in the process. But we have some, we're not as populated on our job board as Indeed.com or LinkedIn, but we do have a lot of great companies locally that are looking for people in all kinds of different roles. So peruse what's there and pursue what you can. On the website, you'll find details of our upcoming webinars and seminars in person, and you can register there for all of them that are coming up. We have a number of them posted for the next several weeks. Our next one is going to be Thursday morning, September 7th, so in 2 weeks from now, and that one is going to be in person only. So it's for those that are local to the Twin Cities area at Grace Church in Eden Prairie. Address and directions are on the site, but we're going to have Dave Sparkman talking about finding your calling. And Dave is the former Chief Culture Officer for United Health Group, a Fortune 9 company, and one of the top, actually Fortune 5 company, one of the 9th largest company in the world right now. And so he knows what he's talking about, and he has a great topic on finding your calling in your career and in your life. And so definitely worthwhile if you can join us for that. Really love to see you there and get a chance to see people face to face in person, which is, I'm glad we can do these webinars and we have broader reach with them, but in person, it's so much better to be able to actually communicate and meet others, build relationships, do some of the listening that Nina talked about this morning, and be able to network with others as well. So take advantage of joining us next week, and then webinars for the following 2 weeks next month. When we do meet in person, in general, we have 3 locations around the Twin Cities. Right now, the only one we are meeting at in person is on the first Thursday of every month at Grace Church. And then the second Thursday would be at Woodbury Lutheran Church, and we will be returning in person there in November. But right now we have those as online webinars only. And the third Thursday is at North Heights Church in Arden Hills. And that is online only for the time being. And so take advantage of each of those as they come. All the details, as always, are on our website. On a weekly basis, there's multiple ways you can get plugged in and take advantage of what we have to offer. Our Networking with Grace group is strictly a networking group where they meet online every Thursday morning at 9 o'clock. So that's going to be coming up in 10 minutes here. And you can pre-register for that on the website so that you get a Zoom link. It's a great way to be able to share leads and contacts and get names and ideas for your search from others in the group. It's led by Wes Tang and Wes Roper. We call them Wes 1 and Wes 2, but they do a tremendous job to make sure to help everybody get something each week. And they really live by give before you get. And so really go into it with the perspective of trying to help others and then get what you can out of it as well. We have one-on-one coaching available. If you would like to get a chance to talk to one of our volunteers and set up either a Zoom meeting or a phone call with them to be able to talk through your resume or prepare for an interview coming up, or get some better networking ideas, or anything at all regarding your job search that you'd like to talk about with them. Sometimes it's just a matter of talking through your situation with somebody that gets it and getting some new perspectives or ideas out of it. And so you can sign up on the form online, and somebody will follow up with you to schedule a time for the 2 of you to meet. It's a great way to get additional and more personalized help, and you can take advantage of that as often as you like. As you probably discovered, that this process is an emotional roller coaster at times, and so getting some prayer support and spiritual support in the process, I think, is tremendously helpful. And I'm so grateful for some of the volunteers we have that love to pray for you. They do pray for you in general and each of our events, but if you have individual prayer requests you'd like somebody to focus on, put it on our website. Or if you'd like to talk to somebody on a little more regular basis, we have our soul care group as well. And so you can find the details on our website, sign up for that, and somebody will follow up. And I'm just so grateful for the people that really are prayer warriors and love to take your concerns to God on your behalf. the meat and potatoes and where you can get the most in-depth help is through our online classes. And we have small group classes that start each month. It's an 8-week class that covers every aspect of a successful job search, starting with attitude and getting in the right frame of mind and dealing with some of the baggage sometimes we carry about our careers or our current situation, and how to present yourself most effectively. We do some assessments so that you can gain some self-awareness and be able to articulate better what makes you unique to an employer. We talk a lot about networking and targeting companies throughout the whole process and how you do that effectively. As you may have heard, networking is an important part of a successful job search. We talk about resumes and what's effective and how you can best structure yours to get the best results, and how to work on that. We'll do that together. We talk about interview skills and negotiating. And selecting the right job. And there's so much more. And I think as important as the content is, and I believe it's really strong and helpful for people, I think equally important is that weekly light accountability and encouragement and moral support you get from a group that gets it, that's in the same boat. And so take advantage of it, because I think getting that weekly extra encouragement and ideas is so important to keeping that spring in your step as you're going through this process. And throughout the 8 weeks, we talk about God's perspective of your job search and your life. And as I mentioned earlier, is that our hope is to point to Jesus Christ in this whole process as well. So we have new classes starting monthly. I'll be starting one on this coming Tuesday afternoon. And so you can find the details online and send me an email. All the information is on the website, and take advantage of that. Otherwise, we have another group starting in September, and you can see the details also online there. But it's a great way to get the additional help you need, get with a group of people that are in the same boat and can be helpful to each other, and I encourage you to really do that. If you haven't seen it already, check out our LinkedIn group and join. If you put MN Crossroads Career Network in the search box, you'll find us. And there's a lot of great information posted on there all the time about our upcoming events, but also ideas to help in your job search. There are some recruiters in the group that post openings and ideas of things that can help in the process. But I think equally important, or maybe more important, is we've got around 2,400 people in the group that have been through Crossroads and are now, landed in new jobs and just willing to be networking contacts at the organizations they're at now. So if there's companies you're targeting or and looking for help or getting some advice about how to pursue that organization better, see if there's somebody in our LinkedIn group that might be working there, and reach out to them and let them know you're participating in Crossroads and would love to get any advice or insight from them in terms of your search at that organization. It's a great resource that way. And it's a tremendous way to be able to give back after you've landed, to just be available for others to reach out to you to gain advice and help in their process as well. And so it's a way to get what you need now and be able to give back to others down the road as well. So check it out and join us in that group to be able to get those resources. This webinar, along with all the other ones we do, get posted on our YouTube channel. And so this one will be posted before the end of the day today. And you can review any of our previous webinars we've had on all kinds of different topics. You can see what's there to watch them anytime you want. It's a great way to snuggle up with a blanket and popcorn on a Friday night and enjoy a little bit of video, but maybe not. But it's a great resource to be able to see a bunch of topics that we've had over the last few years. And as I mentioned, this one will get posted. So if you missed something out of Nina's presentation today, you can rewatch it. One of the advantages with YouTube is you can watch things in double time, and so you can fast forward, rewind, and hear things a lot more quickly than they were live, and so you can cover a lot more ground faster. And so take advantage of that anytime as well. As an additional resource, Thrivent has been a great partner for us for a number of years. They provide a number of things for us financially and resources available. We've got people from Thrivent that volunteer with Crossroads in various ways. I'm grateful for them in all they've done. One of the things they offer is 3 monthly webinars on financial considerations during job transition. And so the information is on our website. You can sign up for those. They cover all kinds of topics about budget considerations you might want to take a look at in terms of how to think about your 401k plans you left behind. These are not sales presentations. They're strictly information that can be incredibly helpful and useful for you in this time of transition. And so take a look what's available there and sign up for those webinars anytime as well. I just want to acknowledge we have over 40 people that volunteer for Crossroads in one way or another, and I'm so grateful for every one of them because nobody gets a paycheck. We all do it because we just have a heart to help others, that everybody brings expertise or knowledge or something to the table that is able to be useful for others, and it enables us to do all the different things we offer through Crossroads. And so I just want to point out a number of those people here, and I'm just grateful for all those that participate. If you don't have a church home, I encourage you to take advantage of one of the churches that supports Crossroads, Woodbury Lutheran, North Heights Church, and Grace Church, and check them out on a Sunday morning. They all are streaming online, but obviously meet in person as well, and you can come get spiritual support and great teaching and help in this process as you're going through. Really encourage you to get plugged in with others. A sense of community is so critically important, but the spiritual direction is most important of all. And so get plugged in some way like that. And so with that, I am just grateful that you were here this morning. I hope it was helpful and worthwhile for you. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to me through our website anytime. But glad you took advantage of this, and hope to see you at other events. Have a great rest of your day.